Good morning, folks. Another little windy day here. I did a short video, or I guess a longer video yesterday on horns, talking about how I no longer dehorn cattle. And somebody asked the question, what benefits do they have with or without horns? And I guess I don't really know any scientific answer to that. It's kind of like asking what benefits your fingernails have to you. You were born with them, you have them, you must need them for something. They must have some function. So if we were to go through and burn them off of you as a child or cut them off of you as an adult, is that kind of a detriment to you? I would think so. So, we just stop dehorning them, don't put the cows through the pain of it. And I don't have the stress of it myself. But if you follow biodynamic farming, you would know that the horn is the center of the cow's energy. There's a lot of energy force behind the horn, but that might sound a little bit too spiritual and voodoo for you. But we'll take this Jersey, for example. I posted the question to a friend the other day that's a Jersey aficionado, and he hasn't got back to me. You don't see many old pictures of Jerseys with horns like this girl, and especially the Jerseys from Jersey Island. The horns tend to curl out more in front of the head and quite tight. Instead, this girl, her horns flip up like the old-fashioned Ayrshires used to. So I kind of posted the question as to why, and I didn't really get an answer back. So I've got 3 theories on it. One is those are just Jersey horns, and I haven't seen enough pictures of old Jerseys to really have a comment. The second thing is she could have a JX in her pedigree. I don't know what the pedigree on this animal is. A JX just meaning that there's an unknown animal a few generations back in the pedigree, which could suggest crossbreeding. So maybe it's some new genetics that we're not used to seeing in old Jerseys. Or there is my theory, which is kind of the plays into the Bonsmara theory. So Bonsmara was a South African cattle geneticist, and he was able to look at cows, and judging by their bone growth, he could give you the exact age of the cow and how many calves she had. And this was something he did in different parts of the US, visiting universities. He'd have them just run cattle by that he knew nothing about, and he would give them age, number of lactations, and was even able to say if they had more calves than they had lactations, if the cow had had a set of twins or not a few times throughout her life. And what he proved was that hormones have everything to do with bone growth. So an highly fertile female, the estrogen would shut off the long bone growth in the front vertebrae, making a squatty little wedged-shaped cow. I'm not sure I have one in the herd that's a really good example, but I can't find her right now. I'll show her to you in a minute. Whereas a bull, the testosterone shuts off long bone growth in the back end first, which is why you end up with a wedge-shaped bull in the opposite direction with big front shoulders and, a smaller hind end. What I've noticed with horns, like here's some bull calves right now, and I did a video this summer on the difference between bull horns and steer horns. So same genetics, same, like they're brothers. These guys haven't been steered, they're going to be bulls, and those horns will grow out rather flat and straight, versus the steers will start to turn upwards, kind of like that Jersey does. And I'm starting to wonder then if the hormones, the lack of testosterone in the steers causes the horns to grow differently, even though some of our steers have been castrated later in life at like 9-10 months, still changes the horn growth. So I'm just wondering, on the likes of this Jersey, we don't know much information on her. She's a first calf heifer, but I'm guessing she's a little bit better than 2 years old. I'm guessing she's going on 3, bred later in life. If breeding the animal young changes her hormones, changes the direction in which those horns are growing. So being bred later in life, those horns tipped up because she was slightly infertile, the same way the horns tip up on an infertile steer. So if that's true, hormones have a lot to do with horn growth and bone growth. And what does bone growth and horn growth have to do with hormones? So what benefit do horns have to cows? I don't know, but they're there for a reason, and they do play a part. And I do know from dehorning animals with bigger horns that haven't been dehorned for many generations, like Highland cattle and yak, that when we start dehorning them, we do see growth issues and fertility issues. I have seen fertility issues in Randall cattle that have been dehorned, and they're a breed that typically doesn't dehorn much at all. Whereas you figure Holsteins, Jerseys, the modern cattle, we've spent the last almost 100 years now cutting horns off them. If they didn't work out, well, then we got rid of them. And if they did work out, fine. So they're maybe more adapted to not having horns. But that doesn't mean that the horns don't benefit them. So is there a benefit to horns? I don't know. I can't possibly see how removing horns, though, has any benefit at all. It definitely doesn't hurt to leave them. The only thing it hurts is me when I accidentally get hit by them, but that's not the cow's fault. That's mine. I got to make sure that I look after myself. And here's a great heifer. Nice shaped horns on her. They're coming out in front of her head. She should have a calf in her, and they're not tipping up like that Jersey does. But that's also more indicative of the lineback breed, just those flat horns coming straight out. However, when we look at her mother, who's not in this group right now, her mother has horns that just stick straight up in the air like a goat. So maybe it's genetic, maybe it's hormones, maybe it's just luck of the draw. Anyway, that's my ramblings for the day. And see what I think about the ramble about tomorrow. Take care, folks.